Then we go over to the next one, boom, real loud, and we get out, and Kevin goes, "Yo, the car's on the floor," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know it's on the floor." And he's like, "No, no, no, no,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
dude,
baby,
it looks
it is.
sick.
He's like,
Thanks for
he's like,
noticing.
it's physically on the floor, like front of the cab on the ground, and I'm just like, oh fuck, we have a mega problem. Third time's a charm, right?
Third time's the charm, baby.
No.
Hey guys, welcome to Overcrest. I'm Chris.
And I'm Jake.
And we have Mr. Zach and Mr. Kevin here to talk us about their epic road trip across the country on Route 66, which looked like, I don't know. I feel like there's websites that you go to pay for that'll give you the same experience. Where, you know, you guys look like you were just beating yourself up the whole time. It looked just like pain. Just looked like pain the whole time. However, I did see a post that you made that was like, "Hey, this was type 2 fun," and I think that's really important. But before we get into the trip and everything like that, I want to hear about how you two met, and maybe you guys can introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about how you guys got together as buddies.
Kevin was a wee little lad. How many years younger are you than me? 5?
29.
Oh yeah, 5 years
6,
younger. Met him when he was 10 or 11 years old at the skate park.
Okay.
And I don't know, we just kind of connected ever since then, shooting photos and stuff. And obviously for a lot of stuff, age puts a pretty big gap and stuff, but skateboarding and all that type of stuff didn't do that. And then the more into photography we got, I think the closer we became as friends.
Were you guys doing like skate videos and skate photos, or what was how did the photography start?
Skate photos, like a lot.
He wasn't doing video stuff at that time. You know, skateboarding was literally my life, every day, all day. And I would be filming a lot with another guy filming, or whoever it was that was around. And Kevin was just there shooting photos, and then, you know, one thing led to the next. With whoever had, you know, the newest gear, we'd be like, "All right, let me borrow that to get a photo," and it kind of just snowballed, really.
Yeah, and we both got into cars around the same time. Like we were always into cars, and then I met him when he had a Honda. He had a Honda Civic.
Okay.
Couldn't change his brakes. Couldn't do an oil change. Didn't know anything. But his buddies had some cool stuff. And then he just started buying Volkswagens, and
it's all downhill.
Yeah, all downhill from there. There's a lot of motor swaps.
What was the first project then that kind of got you going with? Because obviously, if you're talking about can't do your change your own oil, and you're driving around in a Civic with a skateboard in the back, and you think of where you are now, it's a long journey, man.
Oh yeah, for sure. The first like project car I guess that I had was a Mulberry VR, and shortly after I got that, I was up in Vermont having a great time, you know, partying, whatever, doing shit up there with my friends, and I get on the highway at 6 a.m, and there went the timing chain.
Oh,
so that was kind of you know,
that's uncommon, man. That's
uncommon. Well, if you don't change them, I don't remember how many miles are on it, but yeah, so timing chain went, and that led into me pulling the motor, and a couple good buddies back then that, you know, I still talk to, but don't see that often, helped me out. And it was a long process. It was like diving into the rat's nest of wiring, which, you know, I'm still not the best with. And early Volkswagen stuff, at least CE2, is just a rat's nest.
Yeah. So was fixing that Mulberry thing kind of a product of, I mean, you just had to fix it and there was really no other way, or why did you decide to do the work?
I don't know. I just like wanted to learn this stuff, and it took quite a while between money and time and all that stuff. You know, when this was when I first started dating my wife, I had no car. I was like, all right, I'm just gonna walk to your house. I have a car, but it's blown up. It's crazy to think back on that. 14 years ago.
14 years ago. Okay,
you
so
know,
you had the
we've only been
Mulberry
married
car
too, but yeah.
What was the first custom build that you had?
The Mercedes
first
Benz
thing you started modifying, I guess. The first thing you started modifying.
Well, I modified the Mulberry a little bit as far as like, you know, wheels and spacers, and that's kind of where my intro to Matt Crook was, buying adapters off of him. But as far as like actual fabrication stuff, it was definitely my Mercedes Benz project. That was full custom air ride setup, and just dove headfirst into that.
Right on. Were you around this whole time, Kevin, watching him blunder his way through things and learn and
Oh, yeah.
figure it? We all. I don't mean that in a bad
Yeah.
way. We
No,
all do
no,
that.
no. Yeah, we were cruising to shows together and busting oil pans, and then he'd be like, "Well, let's just throw some quarts of oil in there and make it to the show." And then we blow the motor up when we pull into the show. I'm like, dude, this is awesome. I love getting in a tow truck for like 2 hours or whatever we had to do to get it back home. It was always a fun time.
What show was that?
Staggered.
It's called Staggered. It's still a show now. It's more of like a kind of a weekend festival thing up in, I think it's in Connecticut, Thompson Motor Speedway. But back then it was, definitely more grassroots, just no pun intended, on like a golf course. And yeah, it's grown significantly. It's cool.
Right on.
Cool to see that.
I remember the days of oil pans. There's when you look at like
you remember the days, dude. This happened like last year.
What?
And it's
What are you
currently
talking
still leaking in Mitch's garage.
Yes, exactly.
Oh yeah. I wasn't thinking about that one.
I remember
I was
back in the
thinking of it.
day.
Okay. So I've done this like 2 or 3 times now, I guess. But
Uh-huh.
I was thinking of going out to Markwood Madness with my grandfather.
Oh man.
And I was on the Pennsylvania Turnpike, and the car was slammed. Mark 1 across the country. And I beat it up in Indiana, which has the worst roads ever, which you guys probably figure out. We can talk about.
New Mexico.
We'll get
We'll
there.
leave it at
Really?
Yeah.
And the worst freeways ever with expansion joints and everything like that. Just terrible. Beat the oil pan up, and I finally got to Pennsylvania at Markwood Madness, and I remember just seeing like this like glinty thing in my rearview mirror. It looked kind of sparkly, like it would like wispy, kind of like it almost looked like something like you would put in a movie for like a special effect to make it look dreamy. And I'm like, what is that? What is that? And I'm like, I don't know what that is. And then I get a call from someone that's like, hey, dude, there's oil on my windshield. And I'm like, what do you mean? So I pull over, and there's a pinhole in the oil pan where it's right where it sits a little bit lower underneath the drain plug on like an 8-valve. There's like a little bit of a trough so the oil drains better. And I had basically worn that off. I kept like going,
Just slowly shaving it. Yeah.
slowly shaving it. The drain plug was like half the size. Like it wasn't like a hex anymore.
Yeah.
It was completely flat. So yeah, man. And my grandpa was like, we changed the oil pan. I had one with me. Or no. Tom Fry's Big Caddy had one, and he gave it to me, and I changed it on the side of the road, which sucked because I didn't really have very good tools, and getting in between the transmission and the engine block was like a nightmare. But he went up. It was hot, middle of summer. He went up and he sat up in the trees, like on the berm on the side of the freeway. Well, I changed this thing out, and it was in a construction zone, luckily, so I was able to pull off on this like blocked off lane, and we picked up all these sandbags that they used to hold down the little barricades or whatever, the little barrels, and we used those to like soak up the oil, and like I put them underneath the wheels so I would have like some sort of jack stand. Yeah, man, it's like oil, the days of oil pans. Okay, so tell me about discovering this truck. I want to hear the story of this thing, how you found it, where you found it, and let's get going on that.
I wasn't the actual one to find the actual truck. There was a listing. There's like a vintage Facebook group from our town, Milford, Connecticut, that's like all in 1980 and back. And some guy posted a screenshot of this Craigslist ad. And you would think just by Googling all the, keywords at the top, you'd be able to find this thing super fast. Like, it gave me like all the info, whatever. Dude, it took me like an hour to find this ad. And I finally called the guy and I said, hey, I would like to come, buy this. He's like, I already got a buyer. And I'm like, great, here we go.
What was the state of what was the ad like? Was it just like pictures in a field?
No, it only showed one side of it really, and it was kind of it was already in the hot rod like state. So the guy who I bought it from found it in the field, and it was found as a wrecker, and then he kind of hot rodded himself. More of
and what
old
is it?
school,
What is it? What is the like? It's an
Autocar.
So a 19 whatever auto
47 Autocar.
Okay. Is it like a special bed or anything like that, or that's just all it was called?
It's like C something. I forget the model name. I should know this, but
no, that's all right.
I didn't even know Autocar was a brand until I saw the ad.
Autocar.
Yeah,
so I've never heard of
that's always a fun one with people like, oh, what is it? It's an Autocar. Yeah, I get it. It's a car. What is it? I'm like, it's Autocar.
I'm gonna pull up this picture of this. I think this is. Hopefully, I'm not just Oh, it's a history of Autocar. Hold on, let me get to the truck here, and you tell me if this is the right thing, because I want to get like a. Oh well, let me share. There we go. No, Mr. Producer today, so it's me. Is
So
this it?
yes, yeah, that's it. But
Is
the
that
one
it?
that this was had a concrete mixer on the back.
Okay. Oh,
Oh,
really?
I didn't
Yeah,
realize
yeah. So
that.
I have, the original photo of this particular truck with the mixer on the back. So the whole thing was just full circle. So going back to the guy, I tell him, like, listen, I'm a fabricator, car enthusiast. I was born and raised in that town. My parents and some family members know the Beard family. I'd love to bring it home. And he was pretty adamant on I have a buyer. So when the phone call ended, I was pretty bummed out. And
Why
lo
did
and
you want
behold,
this thing so bad? Like, what was it about this thing that you're like, God, I gotta have this?
I've always wanted to build something old, like 34 Model A, whatever. But when the full circle story of it, like being from my hometown and where I still live, I don't know, it's just like crazy. Like, how can this be possible that it's still out there? Because a lot of them were scrapped or, sold off, and God knows where they are at this point. So I was like, it'd be cool to do something part of my hometown history. There's a lot here. This town was founded in like 1630 something.
Right.
Um,
You want
and
to
yeah,
tell them like how
yeah.
far this
So
family goes back?
yeah, when we were doing the interviews, one of the guys, not any family related, but his father worked at the company, and that guy's probably in his late 70s, I would say. And he was like, "You got to know something about the Beard family. They were granted their land by King Charles the whatever
The
in
third.
the third in the 1600s. That's how far back they go. So
So
that's a small,
prior to the formation of the United States.
yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much
Before the
like
13
insane.
colonies were there, they got that
Wow.
land to have that business on.
Well, just to have and
Wow.
Well,
whatever,
to have
and
the
yeah.
land, but yeah.
So at first I was like, "There's no way this is true," and then I did all this research, and it's totally true. It's wild.
That's
1603. Yeah.
So the next morning he calls me back, and that guy goes, "If you can get here before Saturday, it's yours. I want to
Did
see
the
it
other
go
guy
home."
bail or what?
I
Or
don't
did
know.
he change his
I
mind?
felt bad. But he goes, "If you can get here before Saturday, it's yours." And I said, "All right, give me a couple minutes. I'm going to make a couple phone calls." And so I called him back about an hour later.
Hey,
I
who's
said,
your first call there? Like, who do you call? Like, what's Zach's call when he's like, I need to get a auto
uh,
car cement mixer by tomorrow?
I
Like,
well,
who's that guy?
I called my dad and I sent him the link and I was like, "What do you think?" He's like, "Oh, you got to go buy it. You got to buy it."
Huh.
So as far as transportation, my buddy Andrew and Andrew Din, I call him. I'm like, "Hey, there's a project. I need it. Can I borrow the trailer?" He's like, "Oh yeah, no problem. Just come to the work, whatever." So I went on my lunch break. I got home. I called that guy. I said, "Hey, what time are you up?" And mind you, this guy was in North Carolina. So he goes, "I'm old, 8-ish." I'm like, "All right, I'll see you at 8." Drove straight through the night,
How
picked it
far is
up,
that? How far is
12 hours.
12 hours?
12 hours.
What is the tow vehicle
So
that you're towing this trailer with?
my mom came with me. We used her Chevy Colorado, and that was that.
A
So,
Colorado towing a cement mixer truck.
well, it was hot rodded at that point. So it's still probably
Yeah.
like 3,500 pounds. And let me tell you, your brakes were definitely not happy at the end of that.
So talk to me about the buying process a little bit. Was it everything you hoped and dreamed when you saw it? Like, talk to me about walking in.
I mean, I could tell from the photos it was, the body was rough and all that stuff. So I wasn't really expecting top tier quality here as far as like mint. And obviously, if you know me, I'm not going for mint. So this is like perfect vehicle. Don't have to wash it. Although I did wash it like 3 times on the trip because of, deer guts and oil and that disaster. But I don't know. I tried to negotiate the guy, and ironically, I called my buddy Kelvin that lives in that area before I had purchased it. And I said, "Hey, can you call this guy and see if he's negotiable?" And he tells Kelvin he's negotiable. And then I go to buy it. He's like, "Oh, I've had a bunch of people call in on it. So no, I'm not negotiable." So I totally shot myself in the foot there. Had to pay full asking price, but I wasn't going to lose it over $500.
Yeah, right.
So,
Hopes
you
and
know,
dreams.
I love that strategy though of like, all right, I don't want to be the guy lowballing him and piss him off. so I'm gonna have my buddy
Semi-buddy.
call. But then, yeah, like he's like, oh, there's so many people interested in this thing. You're like,
It was
no,
probably the
that
other
was,
guy
That was me.
and Kelvin. Yeah, it was probably literally Kelvin and the other guy that was trying to buy it, but whatever.
That's funny.
So yeah.
So you got it home.
Yeah, it was
And,
a little bit of a disaster getting on the trailer because the ground was all wet, and the trailer is like a newer-ish diamond plate painted, whatever, and it was real drive. I don't know if it was welded. No, it definitely wasn't welded diff at the time, but trying to get it on the trailer, like we almost lost it. So then the guy has to pull up his other old truck of some American truck of some sort that said, in rust we trust. And he had to
Yeah.
come along it back onto the trailer, so it wasn't off the trailer. I've got all these photos and videos. It's phenomenal.
Oh my gosh.
Was
Yeah,
it
you'll
a
have to-
tilt
You'll
deck
have to
trailer?
send those to me.
Nah, nope.
Yeah,
Oh,
send me
so
those.
you're
We'll
going
throw
up
them up in
ramps and-
post so
Alright,
people
cool.
can see
Yeah.
what you were up to. All right, so you got this thing. You're what is you're with your mom in
Yeah.
her truck? What is she, for 12 hours? She was
24.
like, well,
12 down.
24 hours. Yeah,
Yeah.
you didn't leave her
Yeah.
there. You didn't trade her for the truck, right? Hey, mom. So I mean,
Have
what does
you
she
done
think?
road trips? Yeah, like that with your mom before? Is this like
Not
par
12
for the
hours,
course?
but yeah, she grew up, as much as she tries to tell me to not do burnouts in the driveway and all sorts of other shenanigans, she'll be the first to tell you she's the oldest of 5, and when she was younger, she'd load all of her siblings up and do hole shots in the driveway all day long in the gravel until my grandfather would come home and he'd be like, "Why the fuck is there no gas?" And my grandmother was like, "I don't know." And this was just a weekly thing. So, hearing those stories is like par for the course. And
Did you-
when I told her, she just like, "I want to come."
Did you learn anything about your mom and being in the car this long? I mean, that's a long time to be in the car with anybody. Like, did it change your relationship with her at all, or did you guys?
No, we're super close. So like,
That's good.
obviously me and my wife, we all live together. So yeah, I know a lot about. I'm always asking questions about the past and stuff, what they did, because it's interesting. Like, what did you do for fun?
Mm-hmm.
You know? I love that.
I asked my grandma that. She's like, we didn't have toys. We didn't even have electricity. It's like I was like, so what did you play with?
She
She's
goes,
like,
well,
sticks.
your parents were born because of boredom.
Yeah, that's all right. No, when she was a little girl, she's like, yeah, we had like a bike wheel with no spokes in it, like just the rim and a stick.
Damn. Well,
That's
Wow.
it. And like one doll throughout her entire childhood. I'm like,
Wow.
geez, holy smokes! I'm like, made me look at my kids' room. I'm like, dang, this is
You
absurd. How
spoiled
much
brats.
spoiled little brats. Yeah, my kids listen to the podcast, so they're probably laughing right now. Let's spoil little brats. All right, so you got the truck home.
On the
what was
coldest, well, Kevin's gonna say it's not cold, but he can
No, it's fine.
vouch for this. Cold on the water over here is freaking cold. It was like -5 out, and I get it home. I have no help. I'm not gonna have my mom or Cass help me pull this thing off the trailer. So getting it off the trailer in the cold was absolute misery because I had to get my buddy's trailer back. I probably didn't need to get it back that fast, but just wanted it back to him home.
Yep.
Safe. So yeah, that was a pretty significant memory of just going to town in the cold.
All right. So how did you formulate the plan for this truck? Like, did you already? I mean, 24 hours driving to go get it. I'm sure you were dreaming about what you were going to do.
Yeah, for sure. I already had a bunch of these parts were supposed to go on that Mercedes that I was talking about, and at that point, that thing was all cut apart. It's the same, body style that you have. It's one of my absolute favorite cars ever, and it was gonna be body dropped with the 606, just super low. Not on air ride. I don't think I was gonna. No, it's cantilever suspension, all that. So a lot of these pieces went to this build, and ultimately the 114 got scrapped. But I took everything apart from what this guy had, and I started measuring the cab. And the one thing that I was really caught up on was the wheel setup. I was like, that's gonna make or break what this thing's gonna look like. And after taking some measurements and stuff, engine, where the trans and all that stuff go, rear end, I hit my buddy Marvin up, and I was like, "Hey, do you still happen to have those wheels you got from that auction?" He got like 20 sets of wheels for some auction, and he sold them all off. He bought a Evo race car, whatever. And he's like, "Yeah, I have that one set. It won't sell because the bolt pattern's like no one knows what it is.
Okay.
So he's like, they're yours. You can come grab them. So they're CCWs, 18 by 12. They came off of a Pontiac Solstice IMSA race car raced by
What?
GMG Racing back in the day, in the early 2000s. So that was
cool.
like, all right, now I got 18-inch wheels. I can measure out where the rear end stuff goes. And basically, once I, had everything drawn up 2D and CAD as far as the dimensions, I started to draw out frame rail. And from there, it kind of just was like very slow steps, obviously.
Where'd you learn
It-
the CAD work? Where did you learn how to do that?
Just suffering
your
and
own.
pain on YouTube. Yeah.
I guess why did you learn how to do it? Did you know how to do it
I
before this?
I bought it. No, I bought it. Well, somewhat, a little bit. I had a plasma table, and ironically, when I buy this plasma table, I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna make so much money. This is gonna be great. And then I get it there, and I'm like, I don't know how to draw anything. So this plasma table set just chilling for probably 6 months until I was like, all right, I really need to learn how to use this software. So a lot of YouTube, and trial and error.
All right, so keep going on the truck concept.
Um,
You
So
got
yeah,
the wheels.
got the wheels, got the frame started to weld up. I plasma cut the rear arch that goes over the the rear end, and excuse me, the rest is just box tube. That's all, just angled, welded together. Then on from that was getting the engine set in place. That took a little bit of time, in and out, whatever. And once that was set in
Why
there,
this engine? Obviously, you mentioned that you were going to put it in the other vehicle too, but what is it about the OM that made you want to do it? Like, what is it about this engine? Because Jake hates these things.
So
I don't
trust me,
hate them. I
no,
just
if you drive
it's a
this,
diesel.
it's gonna change your
Jake, you hate 'em.
whole
Sure.
perspective. I guarantee you. Anyway, this dude Clint put one in a Jaguar, and I was like, "Damn, that thing is sick. What engine is it? Sounds crazy." And he told me all about it. And this was before literally every person in America knew about how powerful these engines can be with minimal modifications. So I was like, I want that. And I found a whole car running driving for $600. So what a better deal. Now the engines alone are going for 3,000 plus.
I know. I was going to say that's a pipe dream now. Holy cow.
Yeah, it's pretty much impossible, especially a turbo diesel. You could probably find the 300D out there for that money, but the turbo
Yeah,
diesels are
those
pulling
suck.
significant dollars. Yeah, we know. They're reliable, don't get me wrong, but if you want to have something that's fun to drive and, got that feeling, this is what you want.
Yeah.
But so I just
especially if
had
you're traveling and going in elevation or anything like that. The 300D that I had going into the mountains scouting.
Oh, I can only imagine.
I did it non-turbo the first time, and then I did it the turbo diesel the second time, the 123 chassis. And dude, going into elevation with a naturally aspirated 5-cylinder diesel wagon
Choking.
was just
stuffed
brutal.
with stuff on the rack and whatever,
and just overheating all the time. I mean, we finally got to the point where there was snow, and I could pack the entire engine compartment with snow so that it wouldn't
Sick.
overheat. It's just
Diesels are supposed to run cool, aren't they? Like, why?
no, not really. I mean, it's really fuel dependent, right? More fuel as your EGTs go up, and they can run cool. Like the TDI I have outside has a
same deal.
Like a 3-core radiator on it and I forgot to put the thermostat in. It never gets above like 140 degrees, 150. It just doesn't. I mean, if you like go beat on it and get on the highway and whatever, but if you're just driving around town, it never.
It'll never get there.
Never warms up ever.
Yeah, well, we figured that one out.
Yeah.
Oh, similar situation.
Well, you want to talk about never test driving a car, never getting it to temperature.
Well,
Zach never drove it.
Let's preface this. I drove it around town, and I did think I would have cooling problems, especially in the desert. I didn't think I would have them 50 miles into our trip. Probably not even 50. We're not even Connecticut yet, and we are overheating on the side of the road. Traffic, So anyway, but
well, you had been trying to get this thing going for the fall rally in Arkansas. Was your first the Overcrest rally? That was
let's just
I remember
say if
you
I did
trying.
that, I would have lost a wheel immediately, because that did happen right down the street from my house. Luckily, nobody was hurt.
What happened?
Nothing was damaged. So before I left on this trip, ever since it's been driving, anytime I'd go out, I would screw around on like a dead end or whatever. I wanted to know, and I talked to you about this last time. I was like, if I come on the rally, I'm going to bring a generator and a welder. because I know something's going to bend. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
And so I go out around town multiple times and I bent all sorts of brackets in the back because ultimately I didn't put thick enough gauge or support them properly. And moving forward to the wheel incident, I'm coming home and I feel this little, in the back. And that felt what previously was a 4-link bracket bent. So I'm like, gosh, it's 4-link bracket. So I'm 2 blocks from my house. I live on back roads and coming across this intersection, and all of a sudden, boom, on the floor. And I look back, and the wheel is coming down the road. I'm on a slight hill, and here it comes. And all I can think is there's going to be a car coming around this bend, and it's going to into them. And somehow it rolls directly into the back of the truck, smashes the back section, and just spins out and lands right behind the truck. And I am like, oh, holy shit, that actually just happened. And that obviously could have happened on the highway, and I could have killed somebody or, whatever you may have it. And I'm super lucky that happened there. And I finally figured out what the issues was. It was a multiple factor of a welded diff, and ultimately it not being hub centric in the rear. So Swoops in New York.
Did
right
you
here.
like
Swoops?
Swoop's been around forever. That guy's awesome.
He he's machined a ton of stuff on this project. So, he's been a huge help with getting the wheels to work in the first place. But yeah, I brought the axles to him, and I welded some stuff on, and he machined
How'd
it
you get the
down,
truck home? Did you just
good to go.
like
No, I
walk home and
literally-
get a jack or what?
Yeah, it's exactly what I did.
I want to ask you more about these wheels, because I have to imagine, and I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but like in your travels, were they a point of contention with people? Because
No.
this is, in my mind, I saw this is like the rat rod truck. Like, it's very, aside from, the driveline, it's kind of traditional looking rat rod, right? And the wheels are very much, like you said, they were an IMSA race car wheel.
It's wild.
To me, there's like this dissonance of, like, how does that work? And I love the look of it, but I have to imagine other people too are like, what, why, what, how?
No one knows what they are.
Yeah, no one, like,
So
even
no one
a lot
questioned
of car people don't even know what they are, to be honest. But yeah, no one really questioned that. They'd just be like, those tires must not be cheap. That's pretty much the only thing you'd get. Or your tires are looking pretty bald.
Yeah.
And they're destroyed now. Like, the fronts are just gone, absolutely gone. And they were brand new when we left.
I honestly am surprised you made it the whole way on the tires.
Yeah. So and the day before we leave, we get it aligned at Bootsy Gear, and to my knowledge, he goes, "You don't have enough room on your tie rods to fully get where you need to be. It's going to be towed in like bad." So I'm like, well, I already told Kev we're leaving tomorrow, so we're leaving tomorrow. So then I wake up at 3 a.m. and it clicks that I have an extra tie rod in the garage. So while he's inside sleeping, I'm out here cutting the end off the tie rod. I take everything apart, and I knew one side that they aligned had like an inch of thread on it, and the other side had way more space. So I cut the tie rod, and it was probably 2 inches in length, and I weld it to the shorter side, and then I put angle iron on it, and then I did a super ghetto alignment, and as good as I could get it. They were like, you need about 28 millimeters. So I got the tape measure out, and I was like, all right, looks pretty good. So then when I wake him up, I'm like, we're good to go on the tie rod. And he's like, huh?
He's up at 3:30 in the morning doing
Where you're
this,
like,
by
I
the
don't even know
way.
what you're talking about.
Yeah, no.
And then I showed him, the one tie rod has, a welded piece on it, and it looks super janky, but
so you just put the angle iron as the brace, right? And then
I
down,
welded around the whole thing, and then put this angle iron as the brace, and it worked out.
My
great.
confidence was just going up and up and up every day.
Oh, I imagine.
With just his skills and
how did you feel
previous things
that morning? How'd you feel, Kevin, that you're leaving on this trip in this thing? Like, had you sat in it already? Like, how does it feel?
Yeah. I drove it. I almost crashed it. It was not a fun experience for my first time being in that car. Because I was like, yo, let me drive it back to your house. I forget what we were doing. We were out doing something.
We were shooting photos.
Yeah. We're mobbing town and shooting photos. And I was like, yo, let me just drive it because I don't want to test drive it for the next 7,000 miles. I'd rather get a couple miles in before. And I'm in third full boost. And he's like, you're going to have to start braking soon.
It's got no power brakes, no nothing. And it's got, it probably could utilize an adjustment on the
booster?
proportioning valve or a booster, but I ain't got
Yes.
space for that.
No,
So
I get it. There's no space for anything, not even for me. So I start hitting the brakes. He's like,
Harder.
yeah. I'm like, nothing's happening. He's like, hit him. And I'm like, coming up to a 4-way intersection, and there's cars at each stop sign. And I'm like, I'm going through one of these cars because it will not stop. And I just had to pump it a few times and like put my back into it. I'm like, this sucks.
Jeez.
Plus, we wear Vans. We're both skaters, so our soles are like nothing. I'm like,
next
dude,
time you
I need
next
like some
time you come home,
Timberlands.
these will be on there.
Yeah.
Shout out to Sam Dobbins right there, baby.
Dang. Yeah, you picked those up in California.
What?
Those
Wait,
are
so
dope.
what
Got
do you have
hooked
for
up.
brakes on it right now?
It's old Mustang 2 style stuff converted to discs, so it's
Okay.
disc all around.
Okay.
But no
but
assist.
no assist, so it just doesn't stop well, And
Well-
after talking with Mike in California at Stanceworks, he was like, I was, at one point a pretty firm believer of how manual brakes are terrible, but he said he has got his Ferrari so dialed in, he's like, it stops immediately. So he said, you just got to do a ton of research on, pretty much every calculation under the sun to get it to work properly. It's doable. It's just a lot of work.
Yeah, there's all kinds of like the angle of your pedal, like how much leverage you have. It's
Exactly.
the size of the master cylinder, how much fluid you're
Right.
pushing, the size of the pistons in the calipers. All this stuff is all tied together, and it's been done a million times, so you can just go look it up. But yeah, it's a bunch of research. If you just run no assist, it can be really tough. Like my 911 is manual brakes. It's freaking awesome. Jake's
Yeah.
is too. It's awesome.
It's stops great. You're right.
And
It's all about
my
the-
Mercedes has assist brakes, and it doesn't stop for shit. It's solid rotors in the front, and it's I was trying to keep up with Steve from Donuts and Drip in his 911, and I just cooked my brakes, man. They suck so bad. Yeah, they're the absolute worst. Okay, so Kevin almost kills everybody, and you guys wake up at 3:30 in the morning. Actually, Kevin, what is this thing like to ride in? Give me that perspective as a passenger.
Why
Explain
don't you give them the people who've
Yeah.
ridden in it, and then
Yeah.
contrast to what your experience is.
Yeah, so prior to leaving, I made sure a few of my friends got rides before we were out, and they were like, "Oh, these seats are great. They're not Kirkleys like a typical rat rod. They're Recaro, Evo, whatever, like beautiful seats." And I'm like, "You were in it for 5 minutes or 15 minutes. You're not doing 16 days is what we planned for, 14 days. There's a big difference." I'm not comfortable in a car for 1 day, like a normal car, because I'm 6'4", and this car is an inch off the ground with no suspension, no travel. And it's just, it's fine for about 3 hours, and then my body goes numb, and I force myself to pass out and sleep. And luckily,
is it
there's
because
a
you
four-part.
lose circulation to your brain? Because that's what it looks like when I see the videos of you riding it. It looks like you're just like
You're definitely pretty close there. I mean, the exhaust is on my side, so I'm always breathing in diesel smoke.
it's not unhealthy. It's fine.
No, it's fine. I mean, me and Zach agree. Carbureted cars, like muscle cars that we do the rallies with, and that when they're in front of us, it's 10
Fred,
times worse.
Mitch,
I
you
get
damn
a headache.
bastards.
Yeah,
There's
those give me a headache. Diesel isn't as bad.
And that's
And I
actually
feel like-
true,
yeah,
chemically speaking.
Yeah, but-
the burnt fumes of diesel are not as harmful to you
Toxic.
as the same volume.
As
of-
discovered by Volkswagen and Dieselgate when they put piped
But
it
when
into
you
people.
talk to most car people, they don't want to be behind the diesel, and they say
'Cause you
it
could see
smells
it.
terrible because
Yeah.
I think they have that concept of you see it, it smells way worse. But I don't know,
dirty.
maybe I'm just
It's
super used to
dirty.
it at this point because we followed Scott Evans for probably 24 hours collectively, and
Yeah,
he
he's
was
got
just
the TDI truck.
just boost 24/7, and
Yep.
we were fine. No headache. But we get behind Mitch and Fred for 20 minutes, and we'd be like, "Ah, dude, we got to get to the back of it. We got to give them a
Way
mile."
back, yeah.
So what was it about Route 66? We'll talk about the journey too, but why did you decide to do this trip? Did it come before or after you had the truck, or where did this come from?
I've always wanted to drive Route 66, and I don't know, doing it in like a normal car doesn't seem.
Can't wait.
I was looking for all the old, like, decaying buildings. I wasn't really looking to go to, new touristy spots. We skipped pretty much all of those unless there was somewhere to eat. And I thought, what a better place to shoot this thing than on Route 66 with that Americana just feel and vibe that not to say we don't have that out here, but I wanted that desolate. I was really looking forward to like Texas and Oklahoma and all those, states where it's vast. Arizona. Um, so yeah, I don't know. When I got the truck, I was like, Route 66, that's it. This is the vehicle to do it in.
I mean, you could have done it at any time. You could have done it in the Harlequin too.
I know, but that just doesn't fit the bill.
Yeah.
It's not
in my eyes.
Yeah, it's not the
And-
adventure.
Zach and I have done Connecticut to San Diego and up Route 1 to Seattle. We've done that twice in the Harlequin. We've driven that Harlequin from coast
Utah
to coast.
too.
The Utah, I mean, it's done many miles. Probably the most miles is just when we're together.
I bet
I mean,
that's the most mileage Harlequin there is. I mean, that thing's been around.
Probably the most states it's ever been in.
Yeah, dude, it's been in a lot, but yeah. So I think ultimately that was the main reason. Just it fit everything and aligned of old American 1947. Obviously the cab is that, and there's not much left to old on it at this point, other than that. But I think from what now we just got our film photos back, and it was
great.
everything that I envisioned as far as shooting, like the old look with the truck. Just
That's
I don't know, I'm
awesome.
super happy with what we have shot. It was like
Speaking-
600 photos
A film?
filmed, dude. So shout out to Milford
Wow.
Photo because they hooked it up. It's their local film camera store here in town, and they hooked it up with the film and developing for this.
What were you
They're
were you
a
shooting
partner
with?
on this?
A lot of cameras.
Couple stuff. Yeah.
Tell me. I'm curious. What do you got?
Olympus, he had the Olympus, stylus, little point and shoot. We had some just regular disposable cameras, and then
Konica. I had my Konica Auto S2, Canon
And then
EOS 1. Like it's a digital that can take all of the modern lenses that our 5Ds take.
Yep.
So that's probably our workhorse for the film. It's
that some of the black and whites
so
you shot on
good.
that other camera are insane though. Absolutely.
the rangefinder does well.
Yeah, that thing's oof.
Yeah.
Can't wait to post some
that
of those,
old
man.
glass is like, for some reason, those old primes are just really
135 is unmatched.
It's one of my
I'll die
favorite
on that
focal
hill.
lengths.
Yeah, I die on that
135.
hill. It's 35 1.4 and a 135 f2. That's like the go-to wedding bundle. Each camera
Yep.
has one, and then you're good. I mean, 85 is great, but I don't know. I don't have the money for an 85.
I have like a crappy old Sigma or whatever it is, 85, and I just shot a wedding this past weekend. I'm like, this is a perfect place for the 85. Doesn't focus anymore.
Yeah,
Done.
I've been through a
Toast.
couple 85s. Jesse dropped one in the holy water once, and also has dropped one on the ground and smashed it. So we've had a couple 85s.
If you're not buying the
dust.
1.2, it's just a waste of money.
Yeah.
The 1.8,
at that time, I
I've
didn't
owned
have the
5
money
of
for
them. Yeah, and the 1.8 is just crazy chromatic aberration if you want to shoot it open. So
Yeah.
it's just like
85 is
not a
an
good
awkward
lens.
photo length. It's good for people, but or a focal length.
Yeah.
I'm 35, 50, 135 is what's in my bag at all times.
Yeah, that's
I went
key.
back to the 50 over the 35 more. I don't know why. I don't like awkward angles. If you just tilt the camera a little, it works for like close up portraiture and stuff. But
50
when you're
is great 'cause
shooting,
it's like your natural. If you're people
try.
that don't know photography, when you look through the reflex, it's what your eye sees. 50 mil. It's most natural for. It's what I always tell people to start with. Is I'm like, get some old shitty like camera and get a nifty 50. It's just a 50 millimeter 1.8, a little nifty 50 lens, and it's so easy to learn composition because it's what you're already looking at. So if you see something that's cool, and then you hold your camera up, it looks the same. So your brain, it's really easy for you to process composition.
Comprehend that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get back to the adventure. And speaking of adventure, because that's really what you were looking to do. We have to give a shout out to Onyx Outdoors. If you're looking for the best app to navigate your nested adventure, look at Onyx Off-Road. They have over 750,000 miles of trails and offline maps you can explore without worrying about cell service. It features trail ratings, a discover tool to help you find other things. It also includes public and private land boundaries, so you know where you can legally go and drive and off-road and
And
camp.
shoot film,
Yep. And for added peace of mind,
or where you
there's
might get shot.
yes,
if
that's
it's
they
like,
need the you might get shot here layer.
yeah, just based on the name,
They have
maybe
the
like if
cell
it's like
service layer. Yeah,
Yeah.
they do have the wildfire layer, so you know where you'll catch on fire.
Robert, if it's owned by like Robert McCletus, maybe don't
Ooh,
trespass.
yeah, that's going to be a bad one for
that's-
sure.
that's-
They have a route builder tool, waypoint marking, real-time updates, route sharing. You'll be fully equipped for any adventure. Try it free for 7 days. Onyx Off-Road.
All right. Let's keep going on this adventure. Keep
So,
talking me through it. We haven't even left the
First
freaking
day,
house yet.
I was going to
Jake.
say,
Well,
first day, how far'd you get? What broke?
all right,
Fairfield
so
County.
yeah, Lower Fairfield County, which if any of you you guys or people watching, it is one of the worst areas of traffic in the United States. There's 2-lane highway and a 3-lane highway in and out of New York, and when you get one accident, traffic all day, right? So we're stuck in that traffic, and we're starting to overheat, pull off the highway, and at this point, we didn't know how to, kind of remedy the situation here. So we're trying to pop the radiator stick. I have this 10-foot stick, trying to pop this thing off because we got places to be. And finally get it off, fill it with water, whatever, get back on the highway. We get into New Jersey,
Mm-hmm.
and I hit the first of 3 terrible bumps on this whole trip. People are, always asking, like, how does this thing not bottom out? As far as ones that I could feel, those were the only 3, and the New Jersey one was terrible. So we hit it, and I'm like, let's just pull off real quick to go to this Home Depot. I forget we were going there for, to be entirely honest. I think wood or something to make a sign to put like
right.
our Instagram and stuff. I totally hate that, but for this trip, I was like, we need to promote this thing. Screw it. So we
Plus,
pull into.
we were pulling up to a huge sinkhole in the middle of whatever
No,
highway, 287.
yeah. So it's in, there's like a huge detour right now. The whole highway shut down. So that's another, traffic nightmare that we had to deal with. But anyway, before we even got there, I hit this bump, and then we pull into this Home Depot, and there's speed bumps. And we go over them, and, depending on the speed bump height, I'm obviously going to hit it. So I go at an angle, and I'm like, damn, that shit was loud. Then we go over the next one, boom, real loud. And we get out, and Kevin goes, yo, the car's on the floor. And I'm like, yeah, I know it's on the floor. And he's like, no.
Yeah,
it's,
yeah, baby,
it looks
it is.
sick.
He's like,
thanks for
he's like,
noticing.
it's physically on the floor, like front of the cab on the ground. And I'm just like, oh, fuck, we have a mega problem. So
This
we're
is
looking
like
around.
6 hours in or something,
Yeah.
4 hours. I don't know.
So we're looking around, and I finally realize it's one of those things that I had thought about prior to strengthen, and just not enough time. So ultimately, my strut towers said bent. They pulled, the metal was coming out of the tube with the welds, just ripped it right out. So I'm freaking out, and Kevin's calling around places, and he gets a hold of this guy John at Auto TIG Welding starts with a P, somewhere in New Jersey.
Were you like looking just like welder, like Google welder?
Well, no. So yeah, we were
Welding
doing
shops.
that, and then it clicked when I'm in Home Depot. I'm like, it's about to start. It looked like it was about to start pouring rain. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna buy an umbrella, like an actual patio umbrella, so we can stuff this somewhere. If we need to work in the rain, we'll be covered. I hate working in the rain, so
Yeah, it
I buy
sucks.
this umbrella, and I come out, and he's like, I think I got a guy. And I'm like, I don't know, dude. I don't want to drive it anywhere. It's literally on the floor. So Home
How
Depot
much
has a
were
rental
welders?
center.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how
They
much
didn't
is a
have,
welder at Home Depot?
They didn't have anything at this particular Home Depot.
Okay.
So then I'm like, hey, you guys got a rental center? And they're like, no, the other store 10 miles down the street does. So I'm like, I was about to rent a van, go to this other Home Depot, get a generator and a welder, bring it back, weld it, and fix it. But this dude's like, no, we can go to this guy's house. And normally I'm the one that just says, whatever, I'll just drive it and, blah, blah, blah. And
Oh
this
wait,
is the time,
we were battling it.
yeah, time Kevin was like, dude, you just got to drive it. And the only thing I was worried about is my brake lines are pretty low. They're tucked up on the side, but if I hit some snag, that and the power wires under the car, we're into more problems.
You're cooked.
So this guy on the phone with Kev, and I mean, you can kind of tell him how your experience was on the phone because I wasn't the one doing it.
He's a 75-year-old New Jersey hard-headed guy that you don't know if he's joking or he's serious. And he's like, I will be there. I told him the whole story, what we were doing. We're trying to make it to California in a rat rod. And he said, I don't work on Fridays, but if you're actually trying to make it to California, I live 5 minutes from my shop. If you can be there in 5 minutes. We were there in about 20. It took us 20 minutes to go. Well, after us arguing and stuff, it took us a while to drive 5 miles on the ground.
Yeah, cab is on the
is it
ground
just
dragging.
scraping?
Oh yeah. So the cab's
The
on the
whole
ground,
time.
and thankfully I built a skid plate the day before I left, and that was definitely dragging on the floor at some points too.
Oh yeah.
Crowns in the road and whatever. We were just like pretty much in a breakdown lane the whole. We were on like a main 2-lane, not highway, but like a 40-mile to 50-mile-an-hour road, just in the side with our blinker on, going 5-10 miles per hour the whole way there. And then we had to cross a couple of train tracks, and luckily they were like the smoothest train. They were like the smoothest train tracks on this planet, and I don't know how that one happened, but yeah, we got to his place, and it was like 12-ish, maybe the 12:20 or something. And this guy's like, I got plans at 1. Got to get it done. And I'm like over here jacking the shit up, ripping everything off. And he's like, nah, if we need to take longer, like, you don't need to rush around, whatever. So then
he said you got until 1:03. He's like, I'll give you 3 extra minutes. And I'm like, I don't know if this guy's joking or not. And Zach is just like ripping wheels off, ripping everything off. I'm throwing him tools. I'm trying to get everything hooked up. What we need, drills, whatever. This guy's got, air compressor tools.
You know how it is. Both of you guys, or all three of us, know how it is when you go into somebody else's shop and they have the tools, but where is it?
Where are they?
Oh yeah. Yep.
So it's like, I'm frantic. My tool bin is a total disaster. So I'm trying to get my stuff, and this guy's like, I got this right here. And I'm like, well, you could have said that. But anyway, he really accommodated us. And then, he kind of busted our balls. He's like, where's your welding helmet? I'm like, at home. He's like, guess you're not welding.
That was one of the best.
So he goes, do you care what it looks like? I said, no, not at all. I do, but I need to get to California. So I was like, no, not at all. So he chops up all these pieces and welds them in. We reinforce everything, slap it all back together, and we were on our way.
Did you do the other side too?
Yeah, both. One side. Well, one was really bad. The other one was just starting. So we like ratchet strapped it down and just reinforced that. And I ended up calling him the other day just to tell him we had made it. And he was super excited. So I can't wait to send him a film photo of him, welding away in the shop. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was great. That was our first like real, it sucked in the moment, but it was a real great personal experience to have. And there was other people in the Home Depot parking lot that were like, I got to go to work, but if you're here later, like, here's my number. We'll help you out. I got, whatever at the house, blah, blah, blah. So that was like the first look into, all right, this might, even with the problems we know we're going to have,
people might reach out.
Yeah. And, I'm sure you've heard the East Coast thought. People like to say everybody out here are assholes, which there's plenty of them. I will tell you that. But all the people we met along the way, they wanted to just help. And that's cool. I don't know. It's a truly humbling experience.
What kind of tires did you have on those wheels?
888s.
Okay, so not ideal for like rain or snow.
Dude,
or gravel or.
We were in Pennsylvania after a little bit more of cooling issues, whatever, and I think we're still in PA, and it was raining. And it was raining, and right when we pull under this gas station, it starts raining sideways, and the windows don't go up well. So I just told Kevin, there's no point in trying to put these windows up, because if the thing gets stuck, then we are totally screwed, and I don't want to break that original glass. Like, it's pristine. So windows don't roll up. We pull under this gas station.
Kevin? He cares more about his window glass than you.
No, I know. You don't have to tell me. I just did 9 days with them.
So we pull in and it's raining sideways, and thankfully we weren't on the road, but still under this awning, the steering wheel is dripping wet. Everything in the car is wet. Kevin's like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick. He looks back and it's straight up a monsoon flood. He's like, yeah, I guess I'm not going anywhere. So that passes, and we try to get on the highway, and I'm like, all right, let's just see if this thing will get sideways a little bit with a little bit of, turn the wheel and throttle, and it didn't do anything. So I was like, I think if we just keep it at like 55 and under in the rain, we're gonna be good.
That's good to hear.
We never had another issue. We had a little rain out in Missouri, but other than that, no rain. And
we dodged 5 tornadoes on the way to Mitch's house.
Yeah.
And we pull into his garage right as we park and get out. We turn around, downpouring like crazy. And I'm like, how did that the timing was just phenomenal.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Shout out to him.
Yeah. Well, tires can of course be treacherous, especially performance tires when you don't have an all season. That's why Nokian Tires has their new Surpass ASO1, guys, which is unique because it's a high performance all season tire. It's specifically made for drivers who want the most out of their cars without sacrificing
They're
capability
bulletproof too.
When the roads get slick. They do have aramid sidewalls, which is basically a bulletproof vest in your tire.
It's true.
All right. It's not condoned by Nokian, but
do they have the 315/30s?
They may not yet, but they do have.
That's the problem.
If they do, or when they do,
yeah,
I will be their first.
I love it.
Buyer.
Yeah. The grip of a dedicated performance tire, but won't leave you stranded if the road or weather gets rough. Comes with a 55,000-mile warranty. Nokian's pothole protection. If you happen to damage your tire upon repair, they will replace it for free. Check it out at nokiantires.com/surpass.
You can use those tires out in New Mexico because that place is a pothole hellhole. The worst.
Tell me about your overheating issues, because I know this was the biggest issue. Obviously, breaking the strut sucks, right? Or but
we knew that was fixable.
Right.
Cooling issues, in my opinion, are one of the absolute worst issues that you can have, because in a normal sense, it's just the ultimate time suck. You're there, you don't want to burn yourself. So in the beginning, like I said, I'm trying to take the cap off, and we finally realized, I don't know how far into the trip, that it wasn't the radiator that's getting hot. Somebody had mentioned Patio Bob in New Jersey, who stopped to help us. He said, you guys should get he said, you guys should get a temp gun if you don't have one. I said, I have one. It's back at the house. So I ended up buying another one. Yeah. So I ended up buying another one, and that was a huge, great component to the trip to have in the toolbox, because we finally realized that the radiator wasn't really getting hot, and it was just the engine, the head that was getting hot. And at that point, we started to figure out that the system's getting airlocked. So 2 water pumps and a thermostat, I guess that's a no-no.
Why are there 2 water pumps?
Because the radiator's in the rear. And I had asked another guy with a 606 with a rear mount radiator set up if he had an electric water pump, and he said yes, it's absolutely necessary. And this guy beats the shit out of his car, so I trusted him, and I'm glad I did, because we definitely wouldn't have made it anywhere if it weren't for having that. Moving forward on that note, we finally realized that it's getting airlocked, and the head is getting hot, not the radiator, because we're temp gunning, the head.
Mm-hmm.
So we would literally pop the main hose off the head, sometimes 10 times a day at like the most. Like the day getting into California, that was probably a 10-time day. It was terrible. But we take the head, the hose off the head and fill it there. And sometimes it was taking 2 gallons. Sometimes it would take 1 gallon. And then if you drive it for too long and get on a little bit, it's blowing all the coolant out the overflow in the back. So the whole time, my hands are disgusting black because there's coolant and other shit on the ratchet straps for my case, and just absolute mess. Our luggage covered in coolant. But I knew we probably could fix the issue, but we didn't have that.
How hot was the head when you were gunning
the highest that we saw, like in like the overheating range, like not in a safe place to stop, was probably 210,
220. Yeah.
maybe
not-
220. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
It's not
I,
terrible.
yeah, but I still don't, and then once it's that hot, you can't fill it quickly. You have to, you put any coolant in and it's burping and then blowing it right back onto the
Oh,
It
engine.
boils
yeah.
because it's not under
So,
pressure anymore, so it's boiling instantly.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, and in the early stages of this whole disaster, we were just putting water in. So I'm like, it's just fucking going out, but then it was
Right.
boiling too fast.
Yep.
So anyway,
So eventually, with that system, basically you just have air in the system. Is that what that
Yep.
means? Like,
Yeah.
if you
can't
get the
bleed it
entire thing
properly.
perfectly bled, would it eventually just be fine?
No, because I need to take the thermostat out ultimately is what we think
okay.
is the issue. And with cooling stuff, the seals that are on this engine, the housing that I have on there was messed up, corroded, so it's been repaired. So you need to use sealant to seal it. And any sealant
Yeah.
that is going to tell you, I don't know if you actually need to wait 24 hours, but anytime I
Right.
do that, I typically do. And when we're on a trip, I said, we're just gonna have to deal with this. It's gonna suck, but I'd rather not get into another issue of another leak or whatever. At least the system's not leaking. We just got to keep
Yeah.
filling it.
Yeah. As much as I wanted to pop that thermostat out, it's just getting into a whole nother mess of
Yeah, potentially.
potentially something going
Yeah,
terribly
the unknown,
wrong.
right?
Right.
The unknown of, well, we know what the problem is
I don't like
now.
tampering with stuff that it's holding fluid there. I want to just keep it holding fluid there and not open another
Yeah.
beast up.
So
But if
was
we
one
go
of you
back-
guys in the do the thermostat camp and the other was in the do not do the thermostat camp?
No, I don't know if he really wanted to, but I was
did,
telling him
I did,
not
I did.
to.
I did, but I also knew that my housing was screwed up, and this goes back to leading up to last year's rally in Arkansas. I was away in Iceland, and my buddy Luke, that's been a monumental help on this project, was here while I'm on vacation fixing that housing so it won't leak when I was supposed to come on the rally. And, after putting fluid in it all since then, I knew it didn't leak, but I also didn't drive it in any heat. So,
Yeah.
there were unforeseen issues.
I mean,
And I
good
knew
for the
kinda-
motor to stand up to that across the whole country.
Yeah, 4,000, probably 42, I would say is what we did. I know for a fact that we did over 4,000, but then, we were in like Sam Dobbins' car and a couple other people's. So my app is pulling their mileage also.
Sure.
Well, the good news is I bet you could get a new water pump housing thermostat from FCP Euro, which is an online retailer of OEM and genuine aftermarket perform parts for European cars. Did you know that, Zach? Did you know that?
It's actually on there from FCP.
I love
There
it.
you go.
There you go.
Lifetime
Yeah,
warranty, Zach.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, just take that thing off, chuck it back to their warehouse. They'll give you a new one, no questions asked. Whether you're doing suspension overhaul, oil change, they also have their full kits to take all the guesswork out of it. If you don't know what you're doing, you just get the kit. It's good to go. I just got the oil change kit for the Macan because I was like, oh, do I need this stupid little crush washer thing? Do I have the right size? I don't know what it is. Just came in the kit. You're good to go.
Nice.
Every product they sell, lifetime warranty, opening of their distribution center in Mesa, Arizona. They're now shipping from both parts of the coast, serving most of the country in 3 days or less with free shipping. Check them out, fcpeuro.com. Take advantage of free shipping over $49.
I'm going to be testing this lifetime warranty thing.
Oh, boy.
I apologize if anybody or who from SCP listens, but I have this little electric vacuum pump that's from like a Touareg, and it's not supposed to run all the time. But I don't have a mechanical pump on the back of my TDI, so I run this electric pump. So I'm way over the duty cycle. I'm just running it all the time. It's just always on. This poor little pump. I've gone through 2 now. This one's lasted quite a while. This one's lasted like 1,000 miles, but I just haven't. I got to get like a reservoir or something and set up like a switch, or I don't know what I'm going to do. But
on
so
the
far,
on the topic of pumps,
yes,
that was our second biggest issue on the trip. Was a bolt that backed out at the perfect spot.
It was almost the biggest issue.
Well, yeah.
That could have been catastrophic. That could have been end
What
of
happened?
trip.
In the moment, my heart was out of my chest. And I was like, we just moved to Chicago. Gotta find a place to live for a bit.
Well, what happened?
We're right at the Route 66 start sign. Somehow there was no car there. We pull up and this car's pulling out and we get directly front row spot right underneath this sign. And we're filming for a while, and Kevin can tell you I'm terrible with some words, so we got to do 700 takes. And, I'm like, all right, this time I'm just going to turn the car on and I'm going to climb out because it's right on the door. I can't open the door. I climb out and I'm on the wheel, talking. And then when we're done, he goes, dude, look under your car. Like maybe 2 quarts of oil underneath. And I'm looking in the street and I'm like, there's no line. Like that's
Yeah,
very
I'm
weird.
walking up and down the street looking for a snail trail, and there's nothing. And I'm like, dude, there's a washer right here in the puddle. I'm like, look under
No.
the car. There's got to be a bolt. There's got to be something. It happened right here, and it's
So
just this little bolt that backed out of the injection pump.
I still don't know. I haven't researched that. And
Why there's oil there?
I call Chris on this and he's like, I don't understand why there's oil in there either. And I don't also, but anyway, we tightened it back up, and for probably the next 600 miles I was shitting my pants because obviously you're not gonna be able to tell if that bolt comes out, driving like immediately. So yeah,
But if
that
it
was
happened 5 minutes, 10 minutes earlier when we were on the sky bridge or highway, that was it. Motor would
Yeah.
have been blown or
Yeah.
something. I'm like, it happened
there's
at the start sign is just crazy.
And
What
in
do
that
you-
video, if you look in the beginning, you can see under the car and it's perfectly dry. And then 15 seconds later, you can see the shimmer under the car.
Really?
Yeah.
God.
If you zoom in, it's wild.
What do you have for instrumentation in the truck? Like, do you have a full setup of
It's got
gauges?
everything.
Would you know oil pressure? Would
Yes,
you know?
it's got everything
Okay.
other than a fuel gauge and RPM. There's only two that are not in there.
The most common.
Eh,
Do you run
The
a
Harlequin
tachometer
doesn't
off the
have-
alternator on those?
yeah, and it's under there buried. Bill, the one who saved us on the Scirocco, he just
And it's
dropped it
now
off
saving
yesterday.
me on the Volvo.
Hell yeah.
What's that?
Yeah.
Bill is the guy.
Yeah.
Bill is the man.
Yeah,
So,
little teaser for future podcast episodes. The Volvo's engine is blown up. So
No.
I'm
we'll
glad
talk about it later.
Buy
It's
that
fucking
one.
awesome. All right, so you're at the sign. What are some of the things that you didn't expect beyond breakdowns, obviously? But was there anything that happened on the trip that you didn't expect that kind of brought you some joy? Anything that you really enjoyed?
people being, this
Generous.
isn't me. This isn't me. Like tooting my horn on the build or whatever. I knew it would get a little bit of attention just because of what it is. It's very, you don't see it often. But how people were so accommodating, and like you tell them the story and they're like, here's $20, go get gas or a diesel or a drink. And you'd be at a restaurant and they'd be like, what are you doing with that? And we tell them we're driving across country. Like, all right, dinner's on us. When we're broken
Wow.
down, people are this guy Alex in Pennsylvania. It's like 6 a.m. and the fans aren't working, and he pulls up. He's like, what are you guys doing? We're like, I just got a little wiring issue. We got to wire in a fan switch. And he's like, oh, let me go home and get my work truck. I got all these tools, whatever. He ends up giving me a multimeter. He went to the store. He's like, whatever is left out of this $50 bill is yours for the road.
Wow.
So the amount of people that we're not soliciting this at all. We're just, hey, we're on this road trip. We're not like, hey, go check out the link in Big Cartel and buy a shirt and help us. They are just, people were so accommodating, supportive, and that was like a huge, mega highlight of the whole thing, of how random people wanted to come together to be part of this story and help and see you
That-
get farther. Like that Patio Bob guy, we got his phone number. Alex was texting him, this dude Santa from a rest stop in Ohio. He had her number. That dude's probably in his mid 80s.
Yeah.
A couple other people we kept in contact with, and when we got to California, we had texted them, and they were like, "Oh, this is so awesome to see that you guys made it, and that we connected and whatever."
That's
But yeah,
funny because Zach got so many people's numbers. I got other people's numbers. We're each just like having these conversations, but we're not like telling each other until it's like, oh, yo, look what Alex just said. He's like, who's Alex? I'm like, the guy from the gas station who hung out with us for like 3.5 hours or whatever. Like,
yeah,
just
That's so cool.
insane.
And that's what it's about, is kind of like fostering that community and being able to, grow the circle and that camaraderie. And I think that's why Overcrest and our foundation really got involved in this in the first place, and why we're so interested in it is it really is kind of the mission of what we all believe in, is like go out there on an adventure, and it's about the people. It's not
For
about
sure.
the cars.
Literally everywhere. It was
Age, race, religion, nothing mattered. It didn't matter. Every person came up at the gas station and just wanted to hear the story, wanted to know if we were actually from Connecticut, because they would see the license plate and be like, "There's no way." And then
What are you boys doing out here?
we had older ladies being like, "Is that thing on air ride?"
Yeah, we have this clip of this lady in
What?
Walmart, and we're like, huh?
And she's like, "Oh, my son builds these and stuff, and his are on
that's
air
neat.
ride." So
Gotcha.
yeah, it was just like
cool.
just yeah,
Yeah, the
people out of
just the
people out of the
people.
bushes too. You have people
Oh,
just
dude,
coming through the bushes.
This dude. So we're in just over the line in St. Louis. We're about to go in St. Louis, and there was some like older little monument thing, and I'm like, let's just go over there. There's another bridge that goes into St. Louis. Let's get some clips on this. So then we're shooting there, and then all of a sudden this dude just pops out of the bush, and I'm like, Kevin's like peeing in that general area. He comes back, and this guy pops out of the bush, and I'm like, where the fuck did this guy come from? So he starts talking to us, and he's like, man, what is this thing? I don't think he really knew too much about cars, but he was just super psyched up, probably like mid-20s, and he's like, oh, we come over here from St. Louis to do our betting, whatever. So we're chatting for a while, and you could just tell this dude was like down to earth, good dude. I'm like, you want to go for a rip? So I take him, we set the GoPro up and stuff, and we're on this little back road, never been on it before, and I only got into third gear a little bit of boost, and he's like, "God damn it." He's freaking out, and he's like having a time. He comes back and he's talking to Kev, but yeah, people like that. It was absolutely insane.
Good reactions, good time talking
That's
to just new people,
strangers.
What about you
that's
guys?
awesome.
How did you guys have any down moments?
We had plenty of down moments.
Like fights with each other?
No fights.
The only time I think out of any road trip that we've ever done, and there was no like bickering back and forth. You could just see and feel the tension in the air. We were in New Mexico. We just had cooling issues prior, and then now we have a oil issue. Kevin's like, there's oil all over the firewall, and I did not want to believe it. And
Dude,
I'm like, oh, that's just
he snapped.
I was like, that's coolant, and he's like, that is not coolant. And he wipes his finger. He wipes his finger, and he's like, coolant, and I'm like, oh fuck. So we're trying to repair this thing there, and thank God for that umbrella. That was the photo I posted yesterday. We're in the baking sun, midday New Mexico, under a small tree, but the umbrella was a mega help. And I'm like, all right, we finally find out where it's coming from. The internal like weld on the inner or the oil cooler is leaking, and at first this was probably the minimal amount of argument we have. He's like, it's got to be coming from over there, and I'm like, dude, it's up high, like it can't.
Oh yeah,
it's in the front of the engine, it's getting pushed back, and he's like, nah, the wind, and I'm like, it's not possible. So that was probably the only time we were like actually arguing about where this is coming from. I finally find where it's coming from. Clean it.
Who was right? Who was right?
He was right. He was right. but he thinks that wind just always blows stuff back, and I'm like, dude, I'm getting soaked with coolant, and it's coming from behind me. It's coming in the window.
Yeah, because there's holes behind the window, and it's spraying out of the overflow.
Whatever. And then half the time I'm getting sprayed, and there's a Red Bull leaking from somewhere because we don't have cup holders that are accessible. Oh man, we can go deep in these leaks.
We find the leak, and I'm like, all right, I have some like JB Weld on it, put it on there, and then we wait like an hour or whatever. We get on the highway, and we saw that it was leaking a little bit before we left. We get on the highway and then start driving, and when I tell you oil everywhere, all over the hood, all of the intake manifold pockets, we had to pull over like a mile into this. The whole engine is covered. There's pools of oil everywhere, and I'm like,
and the windshield.
Oh yeah,
windshield's covered.
It's like, how are your windshield wipers?
There is none.
Yeah, well, that makes things difficult.
I was like, we are so fucked. We're on the side of the highway, sketchy spot on the highway, and then it clicks. I don't know why I didn't think of this in the damn parking lot. I go, I can literally just loop the oil filter housing lines with the AN lines. So there's two of them there. So I took one off, I looped it, and I said, we only got to go 15 miles or whatever it was. And we can get to a store and figure out what we need. So I went inside. I was like, hey, I need a universal cooler. Oh, we don't have those. What's the year, make, and model? Oh, fucking worst fucking question ever. Hate that shit. I don't have one. The kid's head is spinning. And I'm like,
are you like, look outside?
I told him, I said, can you just look out the
Yeah.
window to see what I'm working with? I don't have a make and model. And I was definitely very agitated at that point because I was clear that I didn't have a make and model. I just needed any oil cooler. It didn't matter. So he's like, what do you want? And I said, the only reason I said this so quickly is because I had an issue with this years ago on a Ford Ranger that I had. I said, just give me a Ford Ranger one. I know you guys will have it. So he comes out of it, and I'm like, perfect. Great. Pay for it and leave. And then
I
it took a
love
while
that.
to find the fittings to make it work because we're going from dash 10 AN to this little rinky dink hose. So I ended up using a barbed brass fitting. So it's
Yep.
barb on one side, MPT on the other. I slid the the AN line over the threaded side and over where you put the wrench, and then tighten it down on the barb side. And then the other one, obviously, just put it on the barb, and we were good to go. No leak, and it's still like that right now.
And it's a Ford Ranger.
Yeah.
It's so how did
Oh
it
my
feel
God.
to
Jeez.
finally get to California? You know,
Um,
did it feel like you were there when you crossed the border, or did you have to see the ocean first?
No.
no,
No,
it definitely
once I
felt.
saw the Colorado River, I knew this was as happy as I could get.
No,
It's
I
like,
was
this is
definitely
it.
happiest when I got to Santa Monica. But
Oh yeah.
I want to back up a tiny bit with the oil cooler stuff. So we're in New Mexico, and I literally never thought I was going to get out of New Mexico. I was like, this is it. We are doomed. It's hot. The roads, all the locals are like, you have to drive in the left lane. There's too many potholes for how low this thing is. And even the locals just drive in the left lane. And they said, yeah, but I'm doing 65. I don't want to be that guy, you know? And they're like, it doesn't matter. Just do it. So we finally get out of New Mexico, and I think that might have been one of the happier moments of the trip when we fucking got out of that damn state.
People
But
have told me,
Arizona,
dude, you got to do a rally in New Mexico. The roads are
No.
sick. And I'm
No.
like, dude, I've been
No.
there, man. It ain't it.
No.
Unfortunately.
No one's gonna go. I mean, two people aren't gonna go for sure.
but Arizona
Hate
was
that
definitely
state.
a mega highlight. Getting into the the mountain area over Flagstaff, that was really cool. And then going into Oatman was absolutely incredible. Probably my favorite town on the whole place. Is just very old school, Western looking. There's burros chilling out on the streets, and we had a great time there. And I think some of our favorite photos are from there. Kevin got like this photo that I think all of us as car photographers dream about, that whole landscape and stuff. And
Yep.
dude over here nailed it. Absolutely nailed it.
Thank you. I tried. We could back up and talk about how a state trooper put us on TikTok while we were sleeping in the car one night.
Oh,
What?
really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. This was in Ohio. Yeah. So we're only a couple probably a couple hours, 3 hours out of Chicago, and it's late. And I'm like, I don't want to get a hotel just to sleep 3 hours. I want to get to Chicago because it was a Saturday morning. So no, Sunday morning. And I'm like, I don't want to get into a hotel. It's a whole nightmare to take all the gear out of the car. You got to literally take every single piece of everything that's valuable out of the vehicle. So that's 30 to 40 minutes every time doing this. So we pull into this rest area on the interstate and, try to knock out. I knock out in 2 seconds. Kevin's over here, it's cold too. It's like 42 degrees out. So it's chilly. And I only bring two hoodies. I'm not thinking. And freezing, whatever. I wake up at like 2 and I stretch and I'm like, Kev, we gotta go. Get up. And then all of a sudden I see a state trooper coming towards us. I'm like, oh fuck, here we go. The things I was worried about the most with this thing is headlights and mud flaps. I have a light bar on the front and no mud flaps. So he comes over, he's like, I was hoping you guys get up. I want to know about this thing. So we're talking to this dude for like 40 minutes, and he goes, oh, yeah, I already did a lap around you guys, put you guys on TikTok. He's like, you got like 200 views. Yeah, it's pretty funny. So we exchanged info with him, and yeah, he was great too. He's super into cars. and
Shut
I
up.
thought he was gonna just nab you for being two homeless dudes in an old rusty truck.
no, he was rad.
No.
He was so
he
fucking rad.
he runs an Instagram called Blue Collar Car Club out of Ohio, and
Okay.
he just loves hot rods.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's
So,
awesome.
He was like, if you are gonna get pulled over, I was gonna pull you over just to see what this thing was, and then let you go.
I am surprised you guys didn't have more hassle for better or for worse.
No,
From
I
law
think
enforcement.
I think with the speed also doing 65 literally everywhere, 65, 70, like, a highway pole or whatever, it might get up to 90, but for the most part, we're at 70. So I think that really was a major help of not getting
What
pulled over.
what dictated that?
The
Rear
year
end?
in your rear
Rear
end. Yeah.
Okay.
Terrible.
So he has an E92 or E90.
Yeah, E90, trans in there, 6 speed.
M3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But the
then
rear end, it needs like
end's-
325s or something, maybe even lower or higher rather. But
and the headlights is another point of concern because you're running plastic windows, plexiglass windows. I hear Cassie.
that's the kids across the street.
I gotcha. Plexiglass windows that have been eating sand and rocks, and they are just swirled out. So if a car is coming at you, I'm blinded,
Oh.
and I'm like, "Yo, can you see anything?" And he's like, "Yeah, I can see stuff." And then after the trip is over, he's like, "Yeah, I couldn't see anything." And I'm like, "Dude, I hate driving at night as is." But with that, it was just I put my hoodie on backwards, flipped up my hoodie, hope I woke up. Because I'm like, I don't want to see anything. He's doing 70 at night through
And you
like
can see
California.
15 feet in front of you.
The light bar is 2 inches, 3 inches off the ground behind the grill. And then there's lights in the vents above, like in front of the
hood.
windows. Yeah. There's
But
no
they don't
light.
do anything.
No. You get 10, 15 feet of visibility at most at 70 miles an hour. If a deer is laying in the ground or, roadkill, you're
Like
just
the one
hitting
we
it.
hit,
You're not
like,
dodging it.
So he woke up in like Pennsylvania or Ohio. I was like, dude,
It
we
was
just hit
Ohio.
the gnarliest fucking pothole. Wasn't a pothole, dead deer. And I come out and he's like, dude, there's grease everywhere, red grease. It was blood and guts. He's like, oh shit. He sees that there's fur on the back of the car. He's like, I gotta go wash my hands.
It's a lot of red grease.
So from like an outsider's perspective, watching this trip, Kevin, it seemed like you really suffered, dude.
I play into the dramatic points of it for sure, but
would you do it again?
I didn't. Yeah, I would do it again. I didn't complain. Like,
no, he did not.
I don't. People are like, "Is he going to complain the whole time?" And I'm like,
well, first off,
it's
we're
just,
wearing earplugs or headphones the entire time, so we're not talking. No. We're in this car together, and we're not talking. Like, unless we're on like a back road, we're not talking because you can't hear between certain RPMs, the vibration of the cab, and all the other metal. You're not hearing anything. So it's headphones, and my mom and my dad and anybody who's trying to call me, they were kind of getting a little frustrated along the way, and it seemed like they always would call me while I was driving. It's impossible. You cannot hear. So that was that.
Oh yeah, that helped. If I did have a complaint, he wasn't going to hear
it. Also, never been to Oklahoma. Shout out to Donna for meeting up with us, and she got her lunch, and ironically, I pull off the highway, and I'm like, Kevin, we got to pull off. We're going to overheat right now. And he's like messaging her, and she goes, oh, here's the place. Kevin goes, it's literally 2 blocks from this exit, like not planned at all. So we get, food with her, and then we move on to another guy. The dirt road. Route 66 turned into a dirt gravel road, and it was graded immaculate, perfect for like 3 miles. And we're going slow, whatever, and then we come right up this hill, right at the top of the crest, hit fucking boulders. They're like rocks like this big. Dude, car dies directly in the middle of the road, and I am like, fuck, we're like 5 miles deep into this Oklahoma road, and we're blocking the entire thing. And I go to turn the car on, no ignition, and thankfully this issue happened back at the house like 3 days before I had left. and I knew that the ignition wire underneath probably got snagged on something that, goes to that. So I was like, grab that other extra wire out of the bin, and I clipped the one up front, put it to there, and literally vice gripped it to the battery terminal, and it turned right on, and we were turning around and back on our way.
Yeah.
And so
He
that
gets on
was
this
that.
road at first, and I'm like, it is smooth, but we gave each other a look like, should we keep going? And I was like, I don't think it's right to keep going. It's
But then
good now, but
he's like,
I just know how it's gonna go.
how many more miles? I'm like, 4 more. And he's like, just keep going.
Yeah, I was like, just
And
send it. If it's only
probably
4,
a
whatever.
mile later is when disaster struck. Well, somewhat disaster, but after that we had gone to a buddy from here in Milford, our area, Billy Macca. He goes, hey, hit up this guy, and he lives in Oklahoma. I met him at an air show. He went to school in my, the town I live in. So he doesn't really know him either. And I'm like, all right, whatever. Let's hit this guy up. So we go out to dinner with him. He takes care of us at dinner, and he's like, if you guys need a place to stay, you could stay in my airplane hangar. So I'm like, I never done that
Sweet.
before. That sounds awesome. So then we're hanging out at his airplane hangar, watching the sunset. It was awesome. Then he's like, I have some Ukrainian family that I took out of the war, and they live in my house. They've been living here for like 2 or 3 years, however long. So if you don't want to be woken up by children in the morning, and the parents are getting ready to go to work, I'll just bring the mattress pads out to the hangar, and you guys can sleep in peace, whatever. But I'm going to let you know, I wake up at 6. I'm going to come out with coffee. We can watch the sunrise. And then we met his orphaned pet squirrel, and yeah, we were just hanging out, like, and
Zach,
it was an awesome experience.
Zach
Between
slept in the bed of and there's just this beautiful glider in the middle of this
carbon fiber
hangar.
airplane,
Yeah,
sick.
from like he bought it from Czech. He's been building it. Just the coolest dude. Very smart guy. Was a lawyer.
Awesome.
Like he's been around the world and just lives on a airstrip.
A little airstrip.
Dude,
That's
this
cool.
whole story is all time, man.
Yeah, that
It's,
was definitely a really cool part of it. Between
Yeah.
Billy locking that in for us, and setting that all up. That was cool. But
Big time.
I guess getting into California, one of the big notes was after Oatman, we had a really good day in the mountains. Somehow, we never shut the car off. The car is running insanely cool, and then the gauge starts running really funky when we're in the mountains. So I'm kind of freaking out, because I'm like, dude, the last stretch. Harbinson calls me like a couple days prior, and he's like, dude, make sure you have plenty of coolant when you're going up in that desert in California. He's like, there's like 100-mile stretch where nothing. And I'm like, yeah, no, I know, I've been through there before, but I get it. So I'm just freaking out about this gauge. It's Sunday, we're in a small town, and we're not going to be able to find a gauge. So every couple miles, I'm getting out of the car and temp gunning the head.
Mm-hmm.
And it's reading higher than what the gauge says, but it's not overheating. It's like 190, but the gauge says that's 150. So I don't know, it was weird. But then the next morning, it reset. It was good to go. But getting into California, we're about to cross in, and I go to Kev, yo, film this. We're driving over the Colorado River, and I'm like, how long until CHP busts our balls? Because that's all I hear is California cops are, especially CHP, not great. I'm sure there's plenty of great ones, but anyway, these are all stories I hear from people. So we go to a restaurant, and it's Memorial Day weekend, and we're not thinking of this. So we get to this restaurant. It's like a little river boat like restaurant. So we get up in there, and I'm freaking out because I'm like, I do not want to unload all of our gear. There's nowhere to park. And Kevin gets out and somehow talks to like the lady running this event. And she goes, you can just park right there. No problem. Perfect. Right up front. So we go in, eat, have a couple beers, get dinner. And then I'm like, all right, let's go to this hotel down the street. Going down the road, back to the hotel.
2 minutes after leaving the restaurant, and
So
I'm like, oh great.
so Kevin sticks his head out the window and he's like,
That cop turned around.
he's like, he turned around. I'm like, all right, whatever, like perfectly fine, like no big deal. So he pulls us over. I give him the wrong registration. First off, he's like, the license plates don't match, and I'm like, not great. Had the proper registration on my phone, but the one that was in the door card, not the right one. So I'm like, crap. So he's like, all right, as long as it's registered, I don't care. Just give me your license. So he takes the license. Now another cop pulls up and he's like, all right, everything looks fine. Like, I'm not going to do anything. He's like, your taillights are off. And then now here's Kevin running his mouth to the cop. And after, a 16-hour day, he's like, after 3,000 plus miles, you are the first cop to pull us over. And I'm like, and he's like, by the way, I'm filming you. And I'm like, oh my God, here we go. So then,
Oh, man.
I wasn't that aggressive, but yes, I was like, after
Listen,
3,500, like 3,500 miles, and then we get to the border of California, and you're the first guy. I'm like, my mind is blown, but it makes total sense.
Yeah.
We're at this gas station, and you can see the bridge for pretty much from where we are. He's like, just go over that bridge, and you can get fuel over there in Arizona. You come back.
Yeah, $3 cheaper.
Oh,
which
geez.
I didn't go back because I was like, I don't want to go backwards.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
So anyway, another cop pulls up, and at this point they tell us they're not gonna do anything. So Kevin's like, "Hey, what do you think about no mud flaps? Illegal. How about this headlight? Illegal." So he's Kevin's just pointing out everything illegal about the vehicle, and they're going along with it. They don't care, and I go, where around here can we get a hotel? And he's like, you're not getting a hotel. It's Memorial Day weekend. The population almost triples out here during Memorial Day. So we go to this hotel and they go, no rooms. I also checked all of the surrounding area within 45 minutes. No vacancy anywhere. And Kevin's like, oh, there's one like 50 minutes back or whatever in Arizona or Nevada. And I go, I am not going backwards. I will sleep in this truck right here. And, it was hot. It was like 85, 90 degrees at almost midnight. And, we're both not happy about this. So we go in the parking lot and lay down. And apparently he lays on the concrete on the floor. We don't have anything.
Paper towel roll behind my head. Just anything's better than just sleeping in like
I'm
an
in the
astronaut in a truck.
And then I wake up and he's like, I was sleeping on the ground. And I was like, that sounds like a great idea. So I do that for a bit, 2 hours, and I wake up and I go, I'm going over there, grabbing 2 Red Bulls, and we are out of here. So we hit the road 2-ish in the morning, and we were in Needles, California at that point, and on to Santa Monica. And, at that point, I was like, the cop told me Route 66 in some of those parts was under construction and couldn't close. So I was like, all right, whatever. We're just going to take whatever the highway is, 40 or whatever. So we're on 40 until sunrise. And once the sunrise came up in Barstow, I hopped off and I was like, oh, this is sick. Like desolate train tracks, like all this stuff. Rolling hills.
Yeah.
Right
next
next
to
to
a
some
Navy base.
And
just pop a drone up. Let's see how it goes.
I wake him up and flying this thing around, and there's this weird car driving by, but I don't notice it because he's driving the truck, only going like 10 miles an hour, and I'm flying the drone. And he's like, dude, this car's being super sketchy. It's like turning around, coming back towards us, leaving, whatever. So then I see it, and then it finally turns around and leaves. And I'm like, all right, whatever. Let's just plant the drone down and get out of here. And then right when we were coming back out to whatever main road that was, there was a spot and it said 66 on the ground with the sign. And then the sun was incredible behind it. I was like, I got to stop. Like, I have to stop. And I'm so happy I did because those film photos are insane. I'm so hyped on it. And they're just point and shoot. Like, just quick, just let's get out of here before we get.
Is that where you put the Overcrest logo on the?
No, that was at Cadillac Ranch.
Oh, okay.
Cool. But yeah, so then we're on the highway and Kevin goes, there's 2 Dodge Durango cops heading directly to where we just were. I was like, oh, all right, maybe flying the drone over there wasn't the best idea.
No. And there was some sort of Navy base over there. And then I just wanted to keep going and get through Victorville because those cops that pulled us over in Needles, the first cops that pulled us over, said, don't stop in Victorville, but if you do, duck because bullets fly. And I was like, yeah, let's not even go near that place.
That sounds ominous.
Yeah, I don't like hearing that you have to duck from police. wild.
No, not good. Not good.
So yeah,
So
we're almost. Oh, you go
we're
ahead.
almost to we were almost to Victorville, very close, and the truck starts overheating, and I'm like, what great timing this is. I
It's
was like,
also hot as
whenever
fuck. That area is
Well, no,
hot.
well, yeah, it's hot, but it was also still night,
Mm.
darkish out. No,
morning,
it was a
yeah,
morning at that point.
it was
Yeah,
morning,
yeah. So he's like,
eight, 9
just
o'clock.
don't get off the highway. We'll deal with it
Just
on the highway
do
this
it
time.
on the highway. And I never
So,
like dealing with problems on the highway, but if there's bullets flying, I'd rather stay on the highway.
What a weird advice to get from a cop. Like,
yeah.
what the
Oh,
heck?
Moving forward, pretty much after the Barstow fuel stop was constant cooling problems. Probably 6 times from Barstow to Santa Monica, and we had people wait, like, where I was like, "Oh, we'll be there at this time." Hit him back. "All right, another hour." Then, we get a little closer, overheating, and at this point, Kevin was just staying in the truck. He wouldn't even get out because he's like, he knows what to do, and I am so over it. We're so close, and he's fed up, and I was fed up too, but there's nothing you can do, you know?
Well, when you're trying to like make an Instagram reel and you're editing, you're super invested and deep,
Oh, yeah.
and he's just like, "Oh, we're pulling over again." I'm like, "Dude, no," because once I like close the phone, it all disappears.
Yep.
I'm like, "I got to restart." I'm like, "No, you
Mhm.
got this. It's just coolant problems. It's
Yeah,
not a
it's fine.
big problem." So
So
he didn't care.
we did that, I think 6 times, and finally the last stretch, we stopped at was that no, we didn't stop at that Walmart that day, I don't think. Was it? That was
Yeah,
that morning? So, yeah, we stopped at
yeah.
Walmart, and I just ended up putting in, like, shit coolant at this, like, it's just blowing back out, like, I don't care. I need to save my dollars.
He had every
So,
color of the rainbow throughout
in
that
that
trip in that
yeah,
coolant
yeah, it needs a
reservoir.
it needs
It
a
starts
solid
out with
flush.
like the really nice stuff and ends up with just,
Yeah.
It's
So,
just
green.
gel in there.
Yeah.
It's
we
just jelly.
finally leave this Walmart, and the car, I think we let it sit long enough where it cooled properly, and I filled it up with what it needed on the head side of things, and we're cruising, and I'm watching the time, the miles, and I'm like, all right, we got 30 miles to go. And, at this point, we're on the main highway. We're like totally over 66. Like, I'm so tired. I only got 2 hours of sleep in like a 48-hour span. And I'm texting the people like, "Hey, everything looks good. I think we're good to go." And we finally roll in, and there's a bunch of people, ironically, from our hometown that live in Santa Monica, in that area, there, waiting for us. And then, what's his name? Sebastian,
I
right?
think so. I'm so
Oh,
bad
yeah.
with
Um,
Seb.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He came down with his son, and yeah, it was cool to meet, him, his son, and just share that experience at, pretty much the end. It wasn't, to me, it wasn't the end because I didn't get to the sign, but the whole pier was closed down because of Memorial Day. But when we pull up to the Santa Monica Pier, I'm like, God damn it, these security guards aren't going to let me park here, whatever. And one of our friends go, they just drove here from Connecticut, and the cops or the security guard goes, back it up, park it, do whatever you want. So I was like, oh, at least we have this moment. And we were out of the car, and there's all these tourists around, and people, taking photos and whatever. But
that.
it was very surreal. I was extremely tired. Uh, I don't know, surreal moment for sure, because I've been thinking about that literally from the day I got the vehicle. Like, I want to drive this thing across 66, and it was nothing. It was somebody else's project at that point.
Yeah, man.
So, and then,
I
a
just,
couple days later, we were going up to see Matt Crook, and ironically, I took a wrong turn on like the 405 or something, and I'm like, I wonder how far we are from the pier or the PCH. And the pier's like 20 minutes away, and I'm like, you know what? It's
Then
still
we're
early
going.
enough. Let's just go. So we're like taking back roads basically through LA to the pier, and it's open. It's like still somewhat of a morning light. The shadows are still nice, and there's nobody on the pier. And we just had like this moment of just hanging out, and I got the sign right there, and I was like, all right. I felt like mission was complete at that point.
Yeah, I would have been
That
real
was cool.
bummed to like fly back home knowing that the end
'Cause I was just
sign isn't there because we have the beginning sign. I want the end sign. I want to complete that.
So
Oh
I'm
no,
very, very
that
happy that I
memory,
took that wrong turn and we
Close the
got
loop.
that.
You got to
Yeah,
close the loop.
for sure.
right?
It's such like an epic journey and adventure, but one question still comes to mind for me that I feel like most people, like, we get it, like we live this, like we obviously are about
For
this,
sure.
but the question most people would ask of this entire thing is why.
Why I knew that? No, because we're two
So,
idiots. That's
well,
why.
no, for me, it was a total like, can I build a car from the ground up and can it actually be used? Because, from the short span of knowing you guys, like I think you and obviously the whole Overcrest family likes to get out and drive. And while some people like the build process, which in parts of it I do, I want to get out and beat the fucking shit out of what I build because it's fun. And I want to do it in places that I normally would never go. And there was a lot of them that were definitely questionable spots for this vehicle to be driving down the street in, or road, whatever you may have it, dirt, rock. Um, yeah, just to see if it's possible.
Was it worth it? Did you get what you
Hell yeah.
needed?
Yeah, it was totally worth it. And, it was a monumental effort on so many people. The list literally could go on forever with all the people involved in this project. Well, I did majority of the work and I really, prided myself on doing that. There was so many hands in this project with giving parts their time, um, whatever you may have it. And I'm really grateful for all of those people.
Yeah,
And
man. It's
you guys jumping on board and being supportive of this, and I don't know, it's just crazy. What I remember calling Chris the day I got home with the truck, and I hadn't known him at that time. I was like, dude, I just got this truck, it's from my town. And he's probably like, all right, dude, shut the hell up. Like, yeah, it's not
no.
even a project, project yet. Like, obviously it's a project, but it's nothing. And that was a couple months after the Idaho failure. So
Oh
I
yeah.
had yet to meet any of you guys in person. So I don't
That's
know. I was
right.
just like, I was just buzzing hard when I got home, and you know, I
And you
vividly remember that.
locked yourself in the garage
Oh
and
yeah, that whole
got to
first
town.
first like 8 months, and a quick backstory on buying this thing. We are getting married in 6 months, me and my wife. We had just gotten a new dog 2 days prior, and she didn't want the dog. I wanted the dog. So bring this dog home, and it's not getting along with my other dogs at all. It took like 6 hours in a field to get this dog or my other dog to let Pearl into the pack. On top of that, she was very sick. So the COVID or whatever. So not a good time. And I go, hey, look at this. I need this project. And she thought it was a semi truck at first. She's like, where are we going to put this? We're getting married in 6 months. Where's the money coming from? Blah, blah, blah. And I said, I need it. Like, and she knows when I say I need it, it's probably happening. So I come home and she sees an empty trailer in the driveway and she goes, what's that? I said, you know exactly what that's for. And I said, I'll see you tomorrow. And me and my mom got in the truck and on we went. So shout outs to wifey for not murdering me and throughout all of my car stuff. But this one was definitely a major uh, test on the relationship. And I got to say, through the first 6 months, I literally did absolutely nothing. I didn't go to any car shows, no cars and coffees. I went to one thing, my bachelor party in Vermont for the weekend. And other than that, I was in this garage every single day, nonstop. Wake up at 4 in the morning till midnight, whatever you may have it. I'm mainly self employed. So there was definitely a lot of days that I was just totally not doing work and working on this. And I wanted it to not be a 10-year project. Obviously there's still a lot of things I want to do and refine it and whatever, but I'm extremely happy and proud of where I'm at with it in just over a 2-year period.
Is there anywhere else you want to take it?
Yeah, all over possible, but it's gonna be a little more challenging with
That's the right answer.
yeah, like I'd take it wherever. I'll die on the hill that this thing is more reliable than most cars out on the road.
At this point, yeah. I mean,
Like once I sort that cooling issue out, like people are like, what
good.
ECU is in it? And there is no ECU. That just right there blows their head is just in spinning. that it doesn't have a computer, and because most people don't get diesels in that first matter anyway. But yeah,
versus spark plugs. That's the
Yeah,
first,
but-
that's the first thing.
We need to get
Yeah, man.
Jake to go for a ride in this thing. I think that should be on
Oh,
the,
yeah.
on
Oh, yeah,
on-
dude, it would be
love
great.
that. I would love that.
I want to do a little series of people riding in it, and then like people like you guys like driving it, because you might have driven rat rods and stuff or whatever, but it's, I don't know, wide tires, like humongous wheels. So like, dude, you get this thing sideways and you're like,
Trying to catch it.
and then you're touching.
I'll be
Oh
breaking
no,
up.
we lost Zach.
No way.
He's gone. Well,
No, no,
wait,
he's
is
back.
he,
He's
is he
back.
back? No. Oh no, we lost him. No, that's all right.
But yeah, I would love to get you both of you guys in it. Would be incredible. But Jake more or less, because Chris knows a little bit about these
I
things.
know the power band
You
is
know?
very similar to my trooper. I imagine the big turbo trooper. I'm assuming it's just
Well,
shot.
the
I don't
yeah,
know.
the-
ALH
that
versus OM606 is totally different.
I'm
entire-
just talking about the power
Very
band
different.
of a diesel.
Oh yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
for sure.
just-
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
there,
Yeah.
but the extra 2 cylinders and
Oh yeah, the power is
thing's
like not
got
even the same.
the amount of
roar it.
yeah, the sound, everything. Like anytime there would be an issue and we get back on the highway and I just get into boost, we were both like, yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to Matt Crook for telling us to go take a drive while he finished up work, and we did Highway 33, which was voted by
Oh,
Haggerty
man.
as like the most beautiful drive.
It's
There's nobody on it.
unbelievable.
Oh,
Absolutely
my
nobody
God.
on it.
Really?
And
No,
he's
dude,
just in
we probably
fourth
passed.
gear, beating on it, and all right, the brakes are not good. The steering is terrible, and we're just on death-defying roads. Like it's one mistake, and he's doing like donuts in the gravel off the side of the roads. I'm like,
Yeah.
he can't even see. I don't even see him because he's in a cyclone of dust.
Dude, I have this
I just
one clip
expect
that
him
is
like
amazing.
launching off the. Yeah, I'm just every time I'm like, he's going off the cliff.
It's a great road. I was on that in the Scirocco when I was
Oh,
with
yeah.
Drew
Yeah.
out scouting for a day pass thing, and the points were so bad that it would barely run, and I was still having a good time.
Yeah,
It's,
dude,
uh,
it's
it's
amazing.
amazing.
It was amazing. Like we get up there and there's the one clip in one of those reels that I put up, and the overflow is literally boiling and it's like making this crazy noise. And it was on that road. We were just, beating on it.
Yeah.
But it was fun.
Well,
Great
Zach,
time.
congratulations on an epic journey. I cannot
Thank
wait
you.
to see the truck. I hope I can make it out to the film premiere in October.
Yeah, Jake, you too, Jeff. I mean, I know you guys got a lot going on, but
So first they've heard of it.
I was
but
just
yeah,
gonna
it's-
ask you when this is coming out.
so yeah, October. I have a lot of work to do. I don't do editing of this sort, so that's gonna be a fun time.
Shout
But
out your website where people can buy some merch and help support this project.
It's Rust, the number 2 redemption big cartel. You can also go into my Instagram profile and find the link there.
And we'll add it in the show notes, and
Sweet.
we'll make sure
I
it's there
appreciate
so
you
people
guys.
can support you.
Yeah, man. But yeah, October 4th, it's going to be at a local brewery, which happens to be literally like directly across the train tracks from where this company originally was. So it's just kind of that
cool.
full circle thing there also. And yeah, it should be a good time. My buddy's going to be spinning vinyl. I got some really cool stuff as far as planned
So
as like
here's how-
elevating the experience. So yeah.
I'm trying to wrap my wedding anniversary is on the 2nd. So I'm trying to figure out how to convince my wife to go to Connecticut or
Oh,
New
there's
York
awesome
for-
stuff up here. Yeah.
Yeah, so she was thinking of going to Norway. So
I mean, that's probably you know,
That's different.
I mean,
yeah.
How about
But-
Norwalk?
Oh man.
that's only 30 minutes down the road. You know?
There's an aquarium. You got it all.
Super romantic.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Thanks for coming on and telling us some stories, guys. We will.
Oh,
we'll
thank
see
you.
around. Take care.
Thanks
All
for
right,
having
guys.
us.
Take care.
See ya.
Peace.
Later.
Later.